Known for its impeccable sports pedigree, the Milan-based carmaker has seen better days. But now the company has a big plan to come back on track to glory by embracing the new all-electric technology. And the brand's first all-electric model is already here, ready to compete in the small SUV segment. The 2025 Alfa Romeo Junior brings a perfect blend of elegance and sportiness, packed with modern tech design. But will this be enough to establish a major position in the market? Let's find out. Like many times in Alfa Romeo's history, things had to start with controversy. This time, the problem was the name. The new electric crossover was initially planned to be called Milano, the hometown of this legendary car brand. And everything was ready for launch until Adolfo Urso, the industry minister in the current far-right government, started criticizing the name selection. The main complaint was about the fact that the car wears a Milano nameplate, even though it's actually built in Poland. According to Urso, a car called Milano cannot be produced in Poland, and he even claimed this is forbidden by law, referring to a piece of legislation from 20 years ago that calls out Italian-sounding products that are falsely claimed to be produced in Italy. Anyway, all this put great pressure on Stellantis management, so they made the decision to change the name last minute. Instead of paying tribute to the city of Milan, the new model now pays tribute to a model that represented a high-end version of the original Giulia back in the 1960s. Interestingly, it's not the first time Alfa Romeo tried to implement the Milano nameplate. The same idea was behind the new hatch in 2010, which we all know as the Giulietta today, but back in the day, the reason for the name change 3 days before the premiere was a little bit more serious, considering that the company was preparing to shut its last remaining operations in Milan and move to Turin. Anyway, the new crossover will be called Junior, because that's the name fans have chosen in the recent survey, and we think it perfectly fits the new crossover because of its size and the fact that it's the first electric car in the brand. Now, let's take a closer look at the design and features. Where to start? Definitely with the styling, because the platform is kind of familiar. The new crossover has French DNA because it's based on Peugeot's platform, but what's definitely purely Italian is the styling, which has that good old Alfa Romeo flavor, but in a completely new way, full of modern design solutions and even some quite futuristic details. Of course, the most prominent is definitely the new front-end design, which still has those Alfa Romeo essentials, including the legendary grille shape, but also brings a lot of modern touches. Headlights are the easiest to notice, with their separated LED lighting groups that look modern and elegant at the same time, while the grille stands with its mesh pattern, which can be configured in 2 ways, as buyers get a choice between modern and retro iterations. The more modernistically oriented buyers can get a typical Alfa Romeo logo on the grille, while those who prefer old-school layouts can go for the good old Alfa Romeo script on the triangle grille, something we haven't seen for a long time. In any case, the new crossover looks as stylish as you would expect from something coming from this Italian carmaker. It's hard to believe that it actually rides on the same CMP platform as models like the Jeep Avenger or the Fiat 600e, not to mention the Peugeot 208 or even the Opel Corsa. Of course, the Italian designers put so much effort into making this particular model look classier and more elegant, while Italian engineers also claim they've done a lot in terms of the chassis and suspension setup in order to make the new model engaging to drive. We still don't know about the driving experience. We guess we'll have to wait to try out the new model. On the other hand, we know this is a quite small vehicle, which will compete in the B segment, or, as Americans like to call it, a subcompact crossover segment. In accordance with its name, the Junior is the smallest model in the lineup, 360 millimeters shorter than the Tonale. In total, it would be 4,170 millimeters in length. As for the other measurements, the new crossover is 1,780 millimeters wide and 1,500 millimeters high, while the wheelbase is 2,562 millimeters, meaning it's smaller than the Tonale in every other measurement as well. But interestingly, at the same time, it's not particularly lighter. Moreover, the all-electric versions are actually heavier due to the large battery pack and can go all the way up to 1,560 kilograms. That's a lot for such a tiny SUV. On the inside, the Junior is a significant departure from its corporal siblings. After all, it's a premium badged model, so it doesn't surprise that it utilizes nicer materials than the rest of the crew. But what really sets it apart from its siblings is aesthetics. The dashboard looks very stylish, with those air vents that resemble four-leaf clover and the overall very elegant look. Attractive aesthetics, of course, are complemented by a couple of large screens, including a 10.3-inch digital instrument cluster that looks perfect in a combination with a sporty steering wheel and that pretty interesting gauge cluster housing. Then, the center screen comes with another 10.3-inch unit reserved for the infotainment screen. As you can see, the infotainment screen isn't oversized like in most other EVs these days, and we like that, because the Junior also features a solid portion of physical buttons for air controls, plus a couple more on the center console. As for the passenger space, details are still unavailable, but with a 2,562mm wheelbase, it's obvious we shouldn't expect much. The second row probably won't be particularly generous with legroom, typically for the segment. On the other hand, we already know that the boot space is quite respectable for this segment and that it goes up to 400 liters, which is actually more than the Tonale plug-in hybrid offers. The Junior is Alfa Romeo's first all-electric car, but an all-electric setup won't be the only powertrain on offer. The cheaper version will actually be a hybrid. It will feature a 48-volt hybrid setup based on a 1.2-liter engine that puts out 136 horsepower and comes coupled with a 6-speed dual-clutch transmission. The 28.5 horsepower electric motor will definitely have an impact on the overall performance, while models with all-wheel drive will come with an additional electric motor of the same power mounted on the rear axle. Of course, this won't be a genuine all-wheel drive system, but the additional motor will certainly help on loose surfaces, as it can be permanently activated at speeds under 30 km per hour. As for the all-electric version, called Junior Elettrica, there will be two variants on offer. Base models will feature a 154 horsepower electric motor mounted at the front axle. The more powerful variant will put out 237 horsepower, but interestingly, it won't come from the additional electric motor on the rear axle. No, the all-electric Junior remains front-wheel drive no matter the power configuration. What also remains the same, no matter the version you pick, is the battery, with a capacity of 54 kilowatt hours. According to the manufacturer, that's enough for about 400 kilometers, or 250 miles if you prefer, on a single charge. Speaking of charging, the new EV is based on a 400-volt architecture and comes with a 100 kilowatt charging rate if you use a fast DC unit. In reality, this means that the battery should go from 10 to 80% in less than 30 minutes. The Italian carmaker already announced a few special versions. One of them will come with the Veloce badge, the well-known moniker in Alfa Romeo's lineup. And of course, it'll be the sportiest variant in the range, with upgrades like a 1-inch lower suspension, rear anti-roll bars, and other chassis upgrades that will improve handling. Oh, and we almost forgot the mechanical, self-locking torsion differential, something that's become pretty rare these days. Then, there are 15-inch brake discs at the front, along with unique 20-inch wheels. On the other hand, the launch version will be called Junior Speciale, and the company has already started taking orders in Europe. That model will also come with all kinds of unique features, as well as a pretty long list of standard equipment. Some of the highlights are unique 18-inch alloy wheels, leather-wrapped steering wheel, power-adjustable driver's seats that also have a massage function, power tailgate, and keyless entry. Furthermore, this model will also come with tinted rear windows, ambient lighting, and unique air vents. Then there are tech features with the aforementioned 10.3-inch screen and the latest Alpha TM Connect software, while the standard equipment in this particular version will also include navigation and a 6-speaker audio system. As mentioned, the Italian carmaker has already started taking orders for the launch edition, while the rest of the lineup should follow soon. As for the price, we know that the base hybrid version will start at around €29,500, while the all-electric iteration is expected to cost slightly under $40,000. As for the North American market, unfortunately, it looks like the Italian carmaker doesn't plan to sell this small crossover across the Atlantic. What do you think about Alfa Romeo's first electric crossover? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.